Comments made by a senior aide on behalf of King Charles have sparked a crisis at Buckingham Palace after Dr. Nathan Ross, the King's Assistant Private Secretary, suggested that His Majesty would not interfere if Australia decided to remove him as head of state. Insiders tell Express.co.uk that the timing of these comments couldn't have come at a worse time for King Charles as he prepares for a significant visit to Australia this week. In a letter addressed to the Australian Republic Movement, ARM, which had written to Buckingham Palace requesting a meeting with the King during his upcoming historic royal tour, Dr. Ross emphasized the monarch's deep love and affection for Australia, which could one day become a republic. Dr. Ross stated, "Please be assured that your views on this matter have been noted very carefully. His Majesty, as a constitutional monarch, acts on the advice of his ministers, and whether Australia becomes a republic is, therefore, a matter for the Australian public to decide." He also praised the ARM's thoughtfulness in writing, describing their correspondence as warmly appreciated. However, sources revealed to Express.co.uk that although King Charles would respect the outcome of any potential referendum, he remains deeply attached to the Commonwealth and would not want to lose Australia or New Zealand. The contents of the letter being revealed now couldn't have come at a worse time, one insider said. Dr. Ross was simply explaining the referendum process and was not reflecting the King's personal views and feelings about Australia. His Majesty is very fond of the Commonwealth and of Australia and New Zealand. He holds great affection and respect for the people of all Commonwealth realms. In its original letter to Buckingham Palace, the ARM itself had acknowledged the important contribution of the royal family, noting that many Australians still respect the British monarchy and hope that the two nations will remain the closest of friends and allies. However, the ARM insisted that the time had come for Australia to stand on an equal footing with other nations, and claimed that there was growing support for republicanism. The last referendum on this matter, held in 1999, resulted in nearly 55% of Australians voting against removing the British monarch as head of state. In January, the Australian government announced that any new plans for a referendum had been put on indefinite hold, with ministers stating that it was not a priority. While King Charles's sentiments do not reflect a change in official policy, the fact that they come on the eve of a major royal tour signifies a shift in the maturity of the debate. The deep and long-standing ties between the royal family and Australia mean that any move toward republicanism would likely be met with disappointment in royal circles. However, another insider said, His Majesty supports all realms in deciding what is constitutionally right for them. When King Charles arrives in Australia on Friday, accompanied by Queen Camilla for a 6-day official visit, it will mark his first visit as sovereign. It will also be the first time a reigning British king has visited the country. The only other ruling monarch to visit in recent history was the late Queen Elizabeth II, who remains popular in Australia. Currently, 14 countries around the world retain the British monarch as their head of state. The most recent nation to sever ties was Barbados, which became a republic in 2021. Despite this, Barbados remains a valued member of the Commonwealth and continues to enjoy warm relations with the UK. Jamaica has also indicated its desire to gain independence, with plans to hold a referendum on the issue later this year. Other nations may follow, though countries like Australia, New Zealand, and Canada are seen as less likely to break ties with the monarchy.